Hi, sir. I know that one. When you pour the wine, you can see that.
Tinuro ko, hindi ko na akong salita eh.
See? See?
Sisi.
Kasi titignan mo.
Okay.
Swirl. Then smell. So, ang mahirap na kasi how ko yung identify.
So we'll just open your palette with a little sparkling wine to start. So as I mentioned before, the main styles, the champagne, cava, prosecco, but then for Chile, for example, you can have also a sparkling, and it's just categorized under sparkling wine. So on the label you see the name sparkling. So this one is called Valdivieso. Valdivieso is the first winery in South America to produce sparkling wine. Yeah, this one you'll have to take out your mask, sorry. The good thing about this sparkling wine is it's very affordable. So the importance when you bring sparkling wines that are this price point, here you're looking at around 600 pesos. What you want is to have something fresh. So produce within the year and always have a consistent replenishment of your stock. These kind of sparkling are really meant to enjoy when they are young and when they are very fresh. It's important. So when you purchase wine on your own, you need to have a different expectation depending on the price point. All the wines for me are good as long as you know why you drink them for. A 500 peso wine can be outstanding if you just want to have a nice time and drink it easily. If you expect it to give you a lot of emotion, it might not happen. It's a bit difficult to do the 5S with this one, but we'll still do it. So, the importance of seeing the wine. What we do is we look at the color, and I will give you a few tips later. Why do we look at the color? We look at the brightness of the wine. A wine that is bright means a wine that is in good quality or a wine that is young. If the wine becomes a bit cloudy, it might have a problem in the bottle, or it might be a wine with a bit of age already. So just by looking at a wine, at the color, at the brightness, you can already expect a certain style. The swirling is not really done much with sparkling wine, it's more with regular wine. The swirling, it's meant to open up your wine, okay, to breathe with oxygen and give you more aromas. The smelling is what I really enjoy myself. So when we do the smelling, and we'll do it later, is to identify the certain set of fruits. Every single grape varieties will carry a certain set of fruits. Sauvignon Blanc will carry a different set of flavors than a Chardonnay. And once you identify, you can put a name of what you smell, you'll be able to recognize Sauvignon Blanc almost all over the world because they tend to taste the same. Chardonnay equally. So usually these little sparkling wines, they are quite fruity, they smell a bit like peach for me, some nice white fruit. So white wine, sparkling wine, you tend to identify with white fruit. All the red wines, you tend to identify with red fruit. There is no right or wrong answers. The importance for you is to just put a name on what you smell and be able to recognize year after year. Let's not do too much on the sparkling because it's not easy in this glass. We'll do more on the white wine later. Okay? So this wine, just enjoy it.
And there's...
So nice little bubble, a little bit of sweetness. It's a very easy drinking wine. You drink it, it makes your mouth watery, which is really a good sign. This mouth watery feeling is what we call the acidity in the wine. So that's why we like to give a sparkling wine as an aperitif. You drink it, makes your mouth watery, makes you want to bite into something. So sparkling wine is really to open up your palate. Okay?
There's something we need to test.
Aftertaste? How do you feel the aftertaste? What is it? Do you find it sweet? Do you find it sour? How do you find it?
Bitter.
Is it bitter? Drink more. The more you drink, the better it tastes.
Sorry.
Actually, there's aftertaste, but I don't know what.
Sweet and then parang nagsasarap na may
How can I explain it?
Tama nga parang
It's dry.
Dry, oo, parang
Kasi broth siya, so it's dry.
So, good point. You know, the tricky part of the wine is some names are actually different. Let's say extra brut in this case in Prosecco means actually sweet. When in fact in France, if you see extra brut on a champagne, that means super dry. So it depends on the acidity. So let's say a brut, I'm going to say in champagne because it's easier, less than 8 grams per liter of wine is called brut. Then you can go up to 12, 15 grams, and then so in champagne you have brut, you have demi-sec for example, up to 16 grams of sugar. You have to relook at that, but basically you have brut, you have demi-sec, and you have extra dry. Everything less than 5 grams is considered extra dry. And then you have what we call zero dosage, zero sugar. We'll taste a little wine here. This is one of my best sellers, the Jack Estate line. I think they are very affordable and they taste great. So here we are tasting Jack Estate. MR series stands for Murray River. MR is Murray River. It's a very important river in that region of Australia. Murray River, that's a Sauvignon Blanc 2019. As I was telling you earlier, it's very important to try wines.
Yeah, the first one, that one.
Yeah. At this price point, for example, it's great to have the freshest vintage. So 2019, a lot of people, they're asking for old vintage. Yeah, old vintage is great. If you spend $100 on a bottle, it's great. Yeah, exactly. For entry-level wine, you don't need to have old vintage because they are not meant to last. So when you have house pour like this, I think 2018, 2019 is good. Now we will do the experience together about the 5S. Actually, I might need to have a little glass myself. I will bring you spittoon so you don't have to drink it all, okay?
Actually, sir, I've heard some ice wine. So we're in Europe, they make the ice wine. Yes, they have ice wine.
Take photo.
Ayun siya malapit
Pinoprocess
na.
yun, hindi, kinuha yung negative, I think negative 5 degrees, doon ina-harvest yun, saline harvest. Pinoprocess yung grapes. Ask him. He will say the same thing.
Yeah, I think
Alright, I'm gonna bring you this, that's a spittoon.
Speed tool, I don't need to, if you don't want to drink it, you gargle it and you just sip it so you don't get drunk.
Exactly.
I'm gonna drink.
Kasi we have to taste a lot of wines.
Alright, so let's do the exercise together. Let's look at the brightness of this wine. Very often we actually look at the color on a white paper, okay? How would you describe the brightness of this wine? Is it a bright wine? Is it cloudy?
You can write in the paper on the table, that's a notes. If you have pen, you can write it down, whatever you want to write it down for the white wine.
Okay. I'll do the first one with you, alright? So the first one for me. Wait. Take your time.
Then relax.
Let's
Listen
do
to
the
him.
5S. It's important for you to understand. So the wine is very bright, very clear in color. The color of a white wine, for example, when it gets a little bit dark, it's either that it's aged in oak barrel or that the wine is old. A white wine will gain in color as it ages, it becomes darker. A red wine will actually lose its color when it gets older. So it's the opposite. So just by looking at the wine, you can see, okay, for me I see something very bright, very clear, probably a young wine and probably no oak aging. I swirl a little bit the glass, so I open up the aromas. You can do it on the table like this also. You just draw circles on the table. Okay? This is a funny trick. Once you get it, you will even do it with your fruit juice in the morning. So the smelling part, very important about the smelling. Try to identify the fruit aromas that you find. Cherry, not really. Think about white fruit.
Peach.
I smell peach, I smell pomelo.
Yeah. Pomelo. Yung grape.
Very exotic flavor. Me, I smell something a little bit green, something I would, a bit leaf, you know, something, I call it grassy, something a bit herbaceous. But I think if we are okay on the, maybe on the peach, on the guava, on the very exotic fruit, yeah, that's very, very much.
Yes, why not?
It could be guayabano.
Could
It's
be,
not a bad,
could be.
it's not a
That
The
is your
problem-
perception. We have different
Exactly.
sensation.
If you feel Guayabano now and in
Yes.
every single Sauvignon Blanc that you taste, the first thing is, oh, Guayabano, you'll be, okay, that's Sauvignon Blanc.
So,
That's what you need to do. It's to associate what you feel to the wine.
it's,
You have a good.
whatever you think
Smell.
that you smell from the wine, there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
It's normal.
And that's what you need to feel with every time you taste this grape. Alright?
I think it is smooth.
So we can agree that it's very fruity. Okay? That's a very fruity, very exotic.
Parang loaded lang.
Alright? Let's sip the wine a little bit. Okay, and then we swallow. So here, that's what we call a very dry wine. Okay, it's a bit sour, it's dry. That's Sauvignon Blanc style. Same as I was saying earlier, it makes your mouth watery. So, you're either a Sauvignon Blanc person, you like dry and high acidity wine, or we'll taste a Chardonnay after, you will see it's creamier, it's richer, it's bolder. So you have two types of people that prefer something sharp and acidic, or people that prefer something a bit heavier. Okay? So this is a great example of Sauvignon Blanc. You find Sauvignon Blanc in many different countries. Very famous countries are France, from Sancerre for example, or New Zealand. They're very famous all over the world. People love their New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. And they tend to be like this, very exotic, very intense on the nose, and very dry with high acidity in the palate. Okay, that's the style of Sauvignon Blanc.
Just to add one thing, okay.
Yes, please.
The one that he said dry, in Tagalog, di ba, when you sip the Sauvignon Blanc, yung pakiramdam mo sa palate mo feels dry.
Yeah.
That means the wine is dry. It's not because you think that it doesn't wet your tongue, no. When you drink it, your sensation of your tongue feels dry. That, it means dry wine.
So the dryness you can also compare with the texture in your palate. It's like you drink a full cream milk or a skim milk. The full cream milk, it will be richer in your palate, oilier. That's what we call also the body of a wine. We call it light-bodied, medium-bodied, and full-bodied. This is a light-bodied wine. When you drink it, it disappears right away and makes your mouth watery. Light-bodied. If you have we will taste now medium-bodied wine. You'll see it's richer, heavier on your tongue, and oilier in your palate. It's a bit easier with red wine. You will see. Okay. Let me open for you. Keep your glass, don't throw it, and you can compare between Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc.
Chardonnay. Okay, listen to what he said because we are here for tasting step by step. And then the next time you attend from other part of wine tasting or other big event for wine tasting, it will be easy for you. Alright?
Yes, pero parang masarap tong ano.
The wine is written on the paper down. Where's the glass? And you have also the copy here, the first wine. That bit of a small description for the wine.
Gusto ko to. Sauvignon Blanc.
Alright.
Ayoko na naman.
Actually,
We have food, right, sir? What's the food?
Ah.
The cheese later.
Nandun po sa labas na sir.
Yep.
So now you're lucky because this is not an entry-level wine at all. That's actually a very nice wine, St. Francis Chardonnay. It's also an organic vineyard. Do you know what do we call organic? What's the difference between a conventional wine and an organic wine? So organic, you tend to lower the pesticide, the herbicide that you use in your vineyard. You try to be as low intervention as you can. So you try to let the nature do it all. Or if you have disease in your vineyard, you try to use natural formulas to treat the vines and nothing chemical.
So no.
Yeah, so here we are in Sonoma County. Whoops. Let me just try the wine. Right. So very important, we look at the color, which is great that you can compare with your previous wine.
Right.
More.
Alright, so if you put them side by side, what do you
More
see?
darker.
Yeah,
It's bright. Brighter.
brighter. So it's still bright in color, obviously.
No,
No?
it's more darker than
Very
the
dark.
first one.
Yeah, put them
This
side
one
by
is
side.
lighter and the other one is more darker than the Chardonnay. Thank you.
So if it's darker in color, what can it be?
More.
More age, maybe age in oak barrel, that's why you get a bit darker. Either older or maybe age in oak barrel. This one, this vintage is 17. For this kind of wine, it's alright, no problem. That can probably age about 10 years, this kind of wine. It's around 1,000 peso price point, so you're looking at probably up to 10 years of aging potential. What about the nose? Very different from the first one.
Sweet.
Slightly sweeter, I will call it creamier, a bit caramel, butterscotch, almond, more nutty.
It's hard for me to recognize about the nose.
Yeah, but this one has stronger.
So, some of them,
Yes, stronger.
aroma.
Yeah.
Stronger.
Some of them they
This smells,
smell the
smells so
anise
sweet.
and-
Yeah, yeah.
Because I have previous colleagues, they smell the anise and everything. How can we be?
Just try to see a fruit that you're familiar with.
No, avoid.
I think butterscotch, it could be ripe mangoes, it could be, it's not that exotic compared to the first one. Huh? The first one was more fragrant. If you
Pineapple.
smell pineapple, it can be, pineapple is often associated with Chardonnay. So if you look at Sauvignon Blanc, they tend to be more green and very young fruit. With Chardonnay, they tend to be riper, richer type of fruit. Mango, Chardonnay, and then a little bit of creaminess that's coming from the oak. It can be a bit of vanilla, a bit of butterscotch. But we agree that the two wines are very different. In the nose, in the color. Then let's sip it.
Or parang durian actually.
Pierce. Pierce.
Now try to analyze
Peras.
try to feel the oiliness in your palate. That's what we call the body of the wine. If you take a sip of the first Sauvignon Blanc,
Light body.
light-bodied, I would call it medium-bodied, this one. I think if you sip the first one, you'll have a light-bodied wine, very sharp, acidic. This one is creamier, oilier, slightly richer as well.
Yeah.
This is water, sir.
And you can
About
really
the
find it.
sweetness, I think.
Yeah, you can find it.
Yes.
You know, if you roll it around your palate, you know, it leaves a little mark, oilier mark. Which one do you prefer?
I think this one.
This one, the Chardonnay, you have expensive taste, huh? Be careful if you take her out, huh? She's gonna be expensive.
It's always expensive.
It's all about the taste.
Yeah. All right. So second wine, yeah. Let's do our first red. Can you open a pen and wine capsule?
Sorry. Sabi ko sa'yo, mamaya ba? I'm sorry.
Do you have any questions so far? Anything you wanna
Later on.
later on?
When it comes to
So red,
sweet wine.
sweet wine. Okay.
Because I heard some wine that in Germany.
Which
The-
one?
The ice wine actually.
The ice wine. Okay. You know why ice wine?
I saw it in a I think in YouTube or
Okay.
they harvest in a negative.
Yes, yes. So
That's
there
what
is
is
a-
very expensive wine.
There is a light pellicule of ice on top of it. Ice wine.
So,
They're also expensive because you lose a lot of fruits in the making. So by over-ripening your fruit and waiting for the really cold climate, a lot of fruits get rotten actually.
which in Europe actually they make?
Ice wines, you can find them in Germany, but they are more famous in Canada.
Canada.
Canada is really a place where you find a lot
So
of
what
ice
kind
wine.
of grape variety?
Oh, good question. I wouldn't be able to tell you. Like this, I'm not even sure. It's rare to find ice wine. Not everybody like it. Sorry.
You have your glass.
I'll take this one. I cannot. It's okay, Paco. I'll use the same. You know the difference with the wine glasses, by the way? Do you know why the white wine is smaller than the red wine?
Yes.
Why is that?
What's about
Okay,
the?
good.
It's about the what you call the air.
So a few things. first is it's smaller because it's a cold wine, so you want to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes, freshness.
and the opposite is you use a bigger wine glass for the red because you want it to breathe. The red wine needs to breathe a little more than a white wine. And then you have different shape of wine glasses. You have the Bordeaux glasses, you have the Burgundy glasses. So I'll give you a tip that I do to analyze the body of a wine for red wine. It's better when you have a full glass. But what you can do is you put your finger like this behind. If you see your finger very clearly through the wine, it's usually a light bodied. When you don't see it well, it's a medium bodied, and when you don't see it at all, it's a full bodied wine. Okay? Why is that? That's the concentration of a wine. The darker the wine is, the more concentrated, okay? The more flavor, the more power. Usually the more alcohol as well. Okay, this one, I look at the color, I would say it's very light to medium. The brightness is still good. What about the nose? I think you will like this nose. So here, red wine, we are all on the red fruits. So what kind of fruits do we have on the nose? I get a lot of plum, a lot of cherry, very young crunchy fruit, nice berries. Can be a bit of black currant as well. Think about black currant ice cream. It's kind of no, you don't. What can be the fruit? You know the fruit that you have here. That it's going to color, you know, the skin is very strong and it colors your fingers. You know, you have to break it, and then inside it's white.
Mangosteen.
Mangosteen. I find mangosteen flavor inside it.
I don't usually eat versus
I don't know. What is?
Duhat, no, local. Wait, they
Duhat,
don't.
yeah, Duhat can be, huh? Can be Duhat.
But it's the same name outside the country.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Oh, I think here only in the
But Duhat,
Philippines.
yeah, I drink actually this kind of fresh Duhat juice, and I think it's a good, definitely a good comparison.
They know that.
Long.
Sip it a little bit. This one is slightly sweet.
Did you enjoy? It was good?
Yeah, this one is.
And now you will see the difference. That's why the red wine put in the big glass. Because you need to
Oh, the bread.
smell the aroma, the bouquet.
Yung ano to? Siya,
Alright.
dry niya.
May konting ano siya sa dulo sa anghang.
That's spice. Ang tawag dun spicy. Spice.
Oh.
Oh, that's fine.
Tell him. Tell him.
Yes,
There's a little bit spice.
Yeah.
Aftertaste.
could be in the palate or in the nose.
No.
Palate.
Palate. Cabernet Sauvignon is a very famous grape. It takes different shape. When they're entry level, they are like very fruity and medium bodied, but they can become very strong, very high bodied. No, not for here, for Sir David.
You want us?
You're gonna be able to go home.
So this one, Beringer, is a very famous winery from the US. It's what we call the longest operating winery. In the US, you had what we call the Prohibition from, I think, 1850 to 1920. During the 30 years of Prohibition, the wineries were not allowed to produce grape and to sell alcohol. So a lot of them, they actually closed down. The big difference with Beringer, they continue to be in business because they supplied fruit juice, not fruit, they supplied wine to the church for ceremonies. So they maintain a business activity. So from 1849, I think, all the way to today, they never stopped operating. So we call it the longest operating winery in Napa Valley. This brand is very strong. A lot of people like it. You have different layers in the range. This one is more of the entry level, but we are importing some of them that cost probably 12,000 peso a bottle. So some wines from Beringer are extremely high and very, very expensive. I'll finish on, I'm gonna replace you the bottle, this one. We'll go back to Jack Estate, then we'll try a grape that is very famous in Australia. It's called Shiraz. Shiraz actually comes from the name Syrah, and Syrah, that's a famous grape in France. So it's actually a Syrah grape, but they just changed a little bit the name and called it Shiraz. And it grows very well in Australia. This region actually, where the wine is from, Murray River, Coonawarra, is very famous for the Cabernet Sauvignon. Thank you so much. So this one we do the same, brightness first.
Medium to full.
Yeah, see that? That's. I've always do it. Nobody taught me, but I've come to realize that really, when you come to see the wine, it's really showing you that the power of the wine. Yeah, even smell it. So you mentioned about spices. I think that's a spicy wine on the nose a little bit. Bolder flavor, very plummy, something a little bit richer. Prune, plum, slightly bolder.